So we are back for another episode of the Elite Agent Masterclass, and today we have a third party joining us. So it's myself, Jack, and Jack Durkin, co-founders of the Elite Agent Masterclass, and we are being joined by Jack. Please introduce our guest.
So today's guest is Emily. Emily has been an agent for a number of years now. She actually joined the Avenue brokerage in January earlier this year after heading back from a year over in Dubai. An incredible agent. She has built her six-figure pipeline in under 6 months with us over at the Avenue. So today's guest, welcome, Emily. How are you finding things?
Really good. I'm loving it. I've never enjoyed work so much, to be honest, and you've not paid me to say that.
What a way to open it. It sounds like we have paid you.
No, I'm very. If you know me, I'm very enthusiastic, but it's genuinely how I feel, which is a big plus.
That's amazing. So I suppose that's a good place to start, because for you to be so infused, bearing in mind you've been back in the UK now, 7-8 months?
Yeah.
When we spoke, I very, very vividly remember having a Zoom conversation with you. You were sat in your apartment in Dubai, aircon on. You'd just got back from an appointment. It was sweltering. I think I was sat in my office that I'm in right now. It was pouring with rain outside. And I was freezing. And you actually were very honest and said, like, I'm not looking forward to the prospect of coming back. In fact, I don't want to come home.
Yeah, it was a real 50-50. I didn't want to come home. I really enjoyed Dubai. In the end, there were reasons why I did want to come home. It was mainly led by my partner, just didn't gel with Dubai, which is absolutely fine and fair enough. He's a proper homebody. I'm not. But I, in the end, really miss. I've got a niece. She turns 1 in a week. And, it was just horrible when I came back in the summer and I had to leave her. It's just family and friends that really drew me back, to be honest. So in the end, I'm actually really pleased that I came back. It's not a decision that I regret at all.
That's good. And I suppose in some ways, that will tie into, a later part of the conversation. So just for the benefit of those listening in, for the benefit of those that might well be seeing your face for the first time, give us a little bit of your backstory in A, how you got into agency, and B, your agency journey.
So typically I am like most, I don't like it when agents say, well, I like watching home programs. I did, but that's not why I wanted to get into property. I was interested in getting my foot in the door. So I actually started off in lettings. I went to a very well-known lettings agency in Birmingham city centre, realised actually I'd like to get my claws stuck into sales. Lettings is nice and quick and it's high volume, but I wanted something a little bit more meaty. So that's when I went to the Countrywide model, the corporate model. I lasted a very short, that was the shortest time I've ever had a job. I walked in and I thought, this is not for me. There is absolutely no part of this that I can see myself enjoying. I knew immediately. I waited for my house sale to complete, and then I joined the Purple Bricks model. So yeah, and again, that was a real eye opener to just how, I suppose, I was living off £1,000 a month as a viewing assistant at Purple Bricks. It's just not doable. Absolutely not doable.
We all remember the days at Purple Bricks, and Emily, we worked together quite a little while at Purple Bricks, and yeah, we can both agree it's very long hours for what we realise now wasn't a great pay at the time. However, it gives you flexibility. It's interesting the background from the corporate environment as well at short time and the lettings. I think a lot of people, when they start out, a lot of people that go into lettings always want to move across to sales. I remember it in our branch at Connells, there was a lot of people that wanted to get from lettings across into sales. It was always the next step for a lot of people, which is interesting. So Purple Bricks, and then what was the next steps after Purple Bricks?
And then you, Mr. Durkin, you and I had a conversation, because I suppose I knew that Purple Bricks, that I really wanted to progress, but it just wasn't happening at Purple Bricks. I also knew that I really needed to build the foundations. Like I really did need to go back to basics. I hadn't spent enough time in the corporate world, and I hadn't spent enough time in the, just I needed to draw it back. And when I spoke to you, Jack, about my next move, you were the one who suggested, I think, it was an opportunity had come up for me to go to a high street agent, a very, massive in the area, highly reputable, lots and lots of boards everywhere you go. And I said to you, do you think it's a good idea? And you said, yeah, I do. I think it's a good idea. You take it back to basics, you learn again, and you build like solid foundations, because you're going to find that high street agent is going to expose you to the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's exactly what it did. And I'm very grateful that we had that conversation. And I'm very grateful to this agent, because it has taught me the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's single-handedly shaped me. And it was a great place to work at the time, but I just have different values. I just value quality over quantity now.
I've got so many questions about things you've shared. I'm going to start with you making the comment around Countrywide and the corporate. And this isn't about throwing stones. This is about understanding personalities. I feel, because I know your personality, I know the answer to this. Yeah. But I also want for you to share the answer to this question so that those listening in can kind of go, aha, that's me. Because there are a lot of people, by the way, that I think will go into environments that are corporate, like very structured, very militant, very much this is how you do it. This is how you breathe, eat, and move from 1 hour to the next throughout the course of your working day. And that suits certain personality types. But I think people that go into that don't fit that personality type then come away from it and go, estate agency is just not for me. And I believe that your answer to this next question that's coming up will probably open the eyes for some of those people to go, actually, I am good enough to be an excellent estate agent. I just need to find the right environment.
Definitely.
Why didn't Countrywide fit you, Emily?
It was very corporate in the sense, and very, very regimented. I used to have the fear driving in every single morning. I would get to my desk. If my headset wasn't on by, 9:15, obviously I used to get to work, 8:30, whatever. If my headset wasn't on at 9:15 and I wasn't reciting, how many calls I'd made the following day in the brief, how many valuations I'd booked, how many viewings I'd booked, how many call outs I'd done, how many viewings I'd done, it wasn't good enough. And if I wasn't able to naturally recite, this is what I've done, figures wise, the previous day, you'd get taken into the back office and say, why don't you know this? And it doesn't come naturally to me. For me, it's the conversations that I have with people on a day-to-day, they are very natural. I think that I work in the sales part in a very different way. And I didn't record these conversations because I knew what bites were really good. I knew who I had maybe on a hook and who I was going to get in to book a market appraisal with the valuer at the time. I'd call them that day. I wouldn't necessarily close them, hard sell close them on that day, and I'd nurture that relationship, I suppose. And to be told, you did pretty much get told you're not good enough if you don't book 5 valuations in a day. And during some markets, that's really difficult. And I just didn't agree with holding people down to the ground by their neck, say, book an evaluation or I'm going to get, told off. It was very,
fear-led.
Tense. Yeah, it was intense. And I don't mind working hard. I do not mind working to targets. I like targets because I set my own targets. But it's someone telling me, this is what you have to do. You have to book in 5 viewings and you have to book in 5 valuations every single day. Else don't bother coming to work.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I had a similar background in working in a corporate environment. And I think you've just mentioned it, that you like targets and figures to be able to work towards that you set yourself. So it's it's down to what you want to do. But for a lot of these companies, you're not really told why you need to achieve them. And I think that's the most important thing, understanding why is it that I need to hit those numbers and what's in it for me if I do hit those numbers. I think that's a really important thing.
Absolutely. It was quantity.
I think it's the coaching that goes into it as well. You've not said at any point in your share there, like, by the way, I've never worked in LSL or Connells or Countrywide. I've never worked in those environments. My corporate, I guess, connection was when I got to regional director level at Purple Bricks. And even then, it was still relatively loose around that whole corporate piece. But you've not at any point there said how you would have been taken to a side and coached or asked for your input on how it could be improved, because it was very much a, one size fits all. And look, for some people, that would suit them. They need to be in an environment where they're told how to behave. They're told what to do, when to do it. And that is very well suited to those types of characters. But for people like you, me, and Jack, don't tell me. Show me, support me. Help me see why it's going to be valuable, and listen, I'll go all in. And I think you're quite similar in that respect. Would you agree?
Yeah. And encourage me.
Yeah.
Don't beat me with a stick because I didn't jump through your hoops the previous day. Just know I will get the work done and I'll do it really well. Encourage me though. Don't beat me with a stick.
It's very much about environment. It's very much about environment. For good people to flourish, they've got to put themselves in the right environment. Now, certain types of people would fit corporate world brilliantly. The types of people that do need to be told constantly and quite comfortable with just being told. Yeah. You do this at this time and you do that at that time. And this is how you speak to that person. And this is how direct you should be here. But for other types of people, they need an environment where they're able to flourish and actually recognize that they are winning. They just need to uncover how to deliver best.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just go. So obviously you didn't stay there very long, but you then went to a large independent business that could be argued that the larger a company gets, the more corporate it becomes. So what was different then to the Countrywide experience? So
after the Countrywide experience, that's when I went to Purple Bricks, and then that's when I went to the large independent. And again, okay, the two similarities: volume, get as many houses on the market, do as many call outs as you can, volume. However, it was, I suppose, you would have targets. Of course, you'd have targets, but there weren't as many processes as there were within the Countrywide model. For example, the Countrywide model, it would be rolled out that it was the 5-5-5, like the 5 viewings, 5 vows, etc. Whereas I suppose the difference with the independent is, although you were focusing on volume, the brief that you'd have in the morning would be centered more around individual clients, and conversations that you'd had the day before, what was going on in the business. So it was a lot more concentrated on the locality and the area. I did really feel that we all knew our area. We all knew our areas so well, because every single day we'd recite, it would be a mantra. We'd talk about the roads, we talk about who's looking where, what roads do we need to start targeting. Whereas at Countrywide, it didn't feel very focused on location. I didn't really learn the area that I went to be completely honest with you. And I can learn areas quickly.
It sounds like a little bit more personal then than what it was in the corporate environment. Definitely
it was. And I believed that the manager that I worked for at the time was really passionate about the area, and that came through. And we all did. You can speak to any of the people I worked at that office and that branch, and they'll all say that they felt just as passionate. It really came through from the branch manager, but because we had so much going on, it was really difficult to be able to handle it all and provide that really excellent service, because we were all spinning plates, to be completely honest with you.
It's really interesting because I think the golden thread that runs through the centre, I think, of you, but equally the message that you've shared, is people. People are the golden thread for you. You're very people first. And it also, from listening to the way you speak, people that have led the businesses that you've been a part of before now have almost influenced then whether you are a good fit or not. So the corporate world, so let's not isolate Countrywide here, because this is very indicative of corporate estate agency, that it's a case of numbers, spreadsheets, stats, give me the figures. Whereas you went to a different boss who essentially his business model was the same, volume, bring me the numbers, but the way they led the business was more people and geographically focused than it was statistics and number led. Now, I've not misinterpreted your words there, have I?
No, no, absolutely not. Spot on.
So actually the leadership of the actual core focus of the two businesses was very similar.
Yeah.
But it was the way those businesses were led that dictated the direction of travel and how you felt about what you were doing.
The objective was volume. Get as many houses on the market, paint the town the colour of the branch, the colour of the company, make sure there are as many boards as you physically can get them out. And I understand that because boards breed boards and it's great, it's fantastic. But bringing so much stock on, and I'm sure we'll touch on this, that might not be the right stock. We might be like, I don't know, bringing stuff on for too much money and for a really, really low fee just to say we got it.
But Emily, boards breed boards. Don't worry about the value. Don't worry about the fees. Boards breed boards. I'm being facetious because I do not believe in that in that mentality anymore. But by the way, I did. We all subscribed to it at some point in our careers. And anyone that's listening into this that hasn't at some point subscribed to it is probably lying to themselves.
You're lying.
So you then left this large independent estate agents in the West Midlands and jetted off to Dubai. What took you there?
Yes, so there was a really small portion where I went to be a kitchen designer. I'll just add that in, and that's where I met my now partner, and then we jetted off to Dubai together. I've got family who are in Dubai. My mum and dad lived in Dubai. They had my sister in Dubai. There's a lot of connections that lead us to Dubai. I was sat at the back of the showroom I worked in as a kitchen designer. And an ad or like there's always broker jobs coming up left and right. You can earn absolutely obscene money. You can earn obscene money. I will confirm that. But we saw it and we just thought we were in a real place in our lives where we just were like, let's just go. We can, so let's go. So we went, and it was great. I went to, I think they are the biggest brokerage in Dubai. Technically by numbers, they are. And you do get a lot of training. It was really intense when I first got there. It was, you do get trained.
Which is different.
I was kind of that's why I'm almost putting emphasis on it, because I thought, wow, we're actually getting proper training here. Whoa. I was actually with a friend of mine, an ex-work colleague, a friend, and we happened to go out at the same time. We knew we were getting recruited together, so that was lovely. So I had a friend there as well. And it was great. And they gave me an area. This is funny. So they gave me an area. Funny story. We all had there was like a group of 15 of us in this recruitment intake, yeah. And all of our headshots were on this A4 piece of paper, and the trainer had written the areas we were all going to be covering underneath our headshot. You got people going to downtown, you got people going to all of these amazing different places. And my friend, the one I've just mentioned, said, I've seen where you are, you're going to be really happy. Thought I'd got a really popular development estate. I've forgotten even what you'd call it in the Middle East area, and I was buzzing, only to find out that he'd read it wrong, and they'd given me the most random area that only one person had ever covered. It was a failing area. No one could crack it. And it was just, I was livid for 2 days, absolutely livid. Well, I can tell you now, I made it my mission to absolutely throw all of my energy, all of my excitement into this area. And honestly, if I was to ever move back to Dubai, that's where I'd live.
I think that's testament, isn't it, to your character? Because some people would have taken that area and thought, this isn't going to work. I can't do it. No one else has done it before. It's not been proven that it's going to be successful. And you've just gone in there and thought, forget what everyone else has done. I'm going to go in and do something different and prove that I can do it.
After 2 days, though, Jack, I really needed to give myself an attitude check. I really did.
Sometimes you need that.
You know,
That's indicative of your level of self-awareness, though. Like, you know,
myself.
Yeah.
I did have to give myself a bit of an attitude check, and then I was hitting target, you know, on consecutive months, which is really difficult to do. And I sort of thought, wow, you know, I put it down to the fact that there's not many people in my area, and therefore there's not as much competition. But I do want to give myself a bit of credit. I absolutely adopted that area and made it my own. So I'm not going to put it down to the fact there wasn't so much competition. That obviously makes things harder to make more money, but I absolutely threw everything I could into this area, and I still love it. I've got a real soft spot for it.
It sounds to me like, given put you in the right environment and around the right people or the right support, the right systems, then you mentioned it a couple of times. You mentioned you're loving what you're doing, and you mentioned the passion that comes through. And I think I don't know if you agree, but I think it's really, really important to have that in any job that you're doing, because if you don't have the passion and you don't have that enthusiasm to go out there and win and help the clients, then you probably won't see as much success.
Mm-hmm. And that is a key to success. And if you do find yourself in that 48-hour period that I was in, you've got to check yourself. You've got to really check yourself. You've got to have a word with yourself and just say, right, okay, this I'm not so happy about. Is it something I can control? Possibly not. So what I can control is my view and attitude towards it. And after having 2 days, the first day, I think I just was throwing my toys out the pram privately. The second day, I was just a bit, what am I doing? And then by the third day, I just thought, no, let's do this. Let's just go and show them. Let's just go.
Screw it, let's do it.
Yeah, I did. And I had the best time. And it was good. And then people were actually saying, can I get into your team? Can I come and work in that area? Which was, it was an area that was really not great. It was one of those where you thought, what? You where's that? And in the end, we had people actively saying, we want to join that team because we were proving with the figures. And I think it is environment.
You became an influencer, but it all comes back to being in the right environments, right? I feel like that feels like the unintended, by the way. We said literally before we hit record, because you are obviously a part of the brokerage, it would have been very easy for us to completely structure this and go, right, these are the questions, this is the path we want to go, this is what we would hope you would say, Emily, so inadvertently please say this. We could have done that.
Just for reference, they absolutely didn't do this.
It was completely this poll. There are some questions, so I wanted to share your backstory so people could understand the journey you've been on, how long you've been self-employed. But the thread that seems to go through the middle of this is environment. Like, I really am getting that environments are so important to your ability to flourish, and I do think that's just human, right? So much great stuff in there, and so I know the firm that you're referring to, and we can make reference to them, it doesn't matter. So Allsop and Allsop. And there is a connection there because Hayley, my other half, who obviously is within the Avenue brand, was at Allsop and Allsop 13 years ago, I think it was, quite early on in Allsop and Allsop's journey. And you actually, I think, worked with Sophie, who Hayley worked with way back when. So there was a really bizarre tie when me and you spoke, and you were like, oh yeah, Sophie knows Hayley. I'm like, wow, what a small world. Like, it shows how small a world we live in, right? So then you came home begrudgingly, but you love your partner. So you were like, I'm going to do this for the greater good. Plus I miss my family. Plus I've got a niece. You came home. I believe obviously well before, because we spoke whilst you were still in Dubai, you picked up the phone to Jack, had a chat with Jack. Talk us through that process, because moving out to Dubai is quite a big deal. Right? It is. It's life-changing. You're in a different country, different rules, different religions, different everything, culturally completely different. Then you come home after being there. So talk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a, I didn't find adapting to culture, I didn't feel the move out to Dubai was difficult. I can kind of adapt. Didn't find it difficult. The move back I found really difficult. It was a bit of a reverse culture shock. And I had a conversation with one of my friends who'd moved to Australia and then come back, and she said, "Oh yeah, I felt the same. Don't worry, it's totally normal." So I thought, okay. So yeah, I did find it strange coming back because, to be completely honest with you, I've come back a totally different person.
I think as well, I can relate as well. I spent some time overseas, and it was the same reasons I came back. Was partner at the time wanting to come back home, but also I was really missing the family. And what an amazing experience to go out there and live in another country, especially Dubai, for such a long time. But when we spoke, one of the things you mentioned when you were coming back was having spent some time at Allsop and Allsop in that sort of model. You wasn't really looking to come back into the traditional or the corporate models back in the UK. So that, I suppose, opened a conversation up for us. So why was that? What was it that you really enjoyed about the brokerage model?
You were the only call I was ever going to make, truthfully. One, leaning on the fact that I was always really impressed by the Avenue branding, because I wasn't an estate agent when you first established. I'd just gone into kitchen design, and I always thought of, kind of kept my eye on the ball and thought, what they're doing is, I like it. And when I was out in Dubai, I thought to myself, right, okay, if I'm coming home if I've saved up my money and I've, done what I came to do, I can come home and I don't have to go to a high street. I don't really want to. I can spread my wings. I can do this because ultimately the way that you work in Dubai is you're not self-employed because you are technically employed, but you are commission only and you are totally on your own. You are a broker on your own. You just don't have a company as such. You know, and just thought, if I go back to a high street, I don't want to say I feel like I'm going back. I don't think that's fair, because some people might want to go back into a high street model, but I think there's just nothing can compare to being able to spread your wings and do it for you. Just completely do it for you, and also have no cap on what you can earn. You can just go for it. Absolutely, just go for it. And I think the hunger that Dubai taught me, because there are a lot of hungry agents out there, it is eat or be eaten. I thought to myself, actually, the UK system's very different. It's not quite as dog eat dog. I don't think it is. No, it's not quite as dog eat dog as it is in Dubai. But coming back, it was just I want to make sure that I do this. I want to make sure that I take ownership of what I'm doing, and not sort of hiding behind a brand. Hiding behind like a company. I want to make sure that I can flourish. And yeah, I'm really going off on a tangent here, but just didn't want to go back to that sitting in an office 9 to 5, no real flexibility at all. I wanted to jump to my own tune, I suppose, because that's what I did in Dubai, and I wanted to continue with that. I didn't want to go back.
I think it's interesting because I know, when, just to give people a little bit of context to the conversation we had before you went to join the Independent, at the time you wanted to progress in the Purple Bricks, where we were at the time, and you didn't feel as though you had or were given the know-how to get to where you wanted to go to. So that's why we had a conversation, said, look, short term, have a look at an independent or someone you can go in and get those skills that you need. But it was always for a short term. It was a short term thing, wasn't it? You were always looking to do that, and then looking at what would be next after that, which was then ended up being Dubai. And then we had a conversation. One of the things that we spoke about as well before you came back was, like you said, that uncapped earnings. And I think for someone like you, even when you were over in Dubai, the fact that it was commission only, you really enjoy being rewarded for your hard work, because you work very, very hard in your business. do amazing things with your social media, with your lead generation, and looking after and nurturing your clients. So you should be rewarded, in the right way, and you should be rewarded well. And I think you get that opportunity in the self-employed or commission-only models, where you don't necessarily get that in being employed or other areas. But I think it leads on really nicely, because I know James has got a question around social media. And I think that leads on from what you were saying about building your personal brand, which you've been doing very, very well over the last 6 or 7 months. James, do you want to fire away the question that you had around personal branding, social media?
Yeah, so I've noticed recently, actually, I'm just going to share a little bit of an anecdote. I've noticed over the last, I don't know, week or so, there's been 3 or 4 posts that I've seen on LinkedIn where people seem to be damning the title of personal brand. I don't get it. I'm going to put a post out later. I don't understand why people have an issue with the term personal brand. I don't get it. But anyway, because ultimately we've got someone who's actually building a fantastic personal brand on the pod right now in Emily. What does personal brand mean to you, Emily? And what are you doing in order to build that?
I think personal brand it's kind of what feels right for you, what comes natural, playing to your strengths, because ultimately this is your business. So you want to make sure it's as strong as it can be. So playing to your strengths, and then things that you're not quite sure about, or things that you may need coaching, that's where you go to your peers. That's why we've got the avenue. I know that if there was something I was truly struggling with, I'd pick up the phone. But playing to your strengths. So your personal brand, I really believe in being authentic. I really believe in what feels right for you, and trial and error as well, because trial and error is really important. Get things wrong, do things, and then think, well, why have I done that? And keep growing. I will quite honestly be driving most of the ideas that I will get about either lead generation or social media, whatever. I'll get it when I'm in the car driving. I mean, I'm always driving. I'm always A to B, appointment, here, there, everywhere. And I'm in the car and I'll just think, oh, that's a great idea. And then I'll put it in my notes. My notes are abysmal. I've got shopping lists, I've got lead gen ideas, and I've got stuff I want to put on social media. And then I've got, it's really very messy place, but that's where it comes from. And I think when I get an idea, I might mull over it, or I might just say, yeah, let's just do it. Just put it out there and just go with it. Could be, listening to the radio and something comes on that's something about mortgages. For example, my Bluetooth disconnected and I normally only listen to music. I was pulling up, just about to give keys to a surveyor, and the radio comes on and they announced the 3 different lenders that were reducing their rates that day. And I thought, you know what, sod it. I'm just going to put out a really quick post. I'm going to verify this with my mortgage advisor. And I did. And I think it's got 60,000 views. I never ever thought that it would get that many views. I woke up and there'd been 100 likes overnight. And I think, what? That's just the most, I'm not a mortgage advisor, but it's education. And I think my personal brand is I can see what's working well, and education seems to be working really well. Whether it leads to a really warm lead, whether it leads to just someone asking a question, or someone saying, I really like this, and continues to follow, and then eventually messages and says, right, we're about ready to start looking at instructing an agent, because it's happened. But I do think personal brand is just be you, be truly who you are, and let it breathe through, and just get it wrong.
So there's like 3 things that come out of that, and I should have written it down. So the first one is, I feel like you should title some of your videos Emily on the Move, because the amount of videos you pop out that are either on your story or a reel where you're in your car and it's just like whatever. And by the way, when I'm watching, I'm like, she's literally just thought of that. You can just tell. You can tell it's like, you've not got in your car especially to record. It's just that the idea's popped into your head and you're like, right, let's get the camera going. And I read something recently and it really, really resonated, and it connects actually to your point. And that is that when you're creating content, document, don't create. Document, don't create. And so examples where you're listening to something on the radio and going, I'm just going to reshare that. I'm going to repurpose that. I'm going to say it in my words, my way of delivering it, with my authenticity, with my true self coming through. But what I've heard, I'm going to share with my audience. That's then documenting, not creating. And I was like, that's actually really smart, because if you can reframe it, if anyone's listening to this and thinks, I'm really rubbish at creating content, I don't know what to create, I haven't got any ideas. You're an estate agent or in the property sector, you do the job day in, day out. Document the journey.
Definitely.
And you do that exceptionally well. And I must say, like, I get, and I messaged you about it a couple of months ago, I get quite a lot of comments from peers. I've been in the industry 20 years. I've worked in various businesses that have enabled me and given me the great pleasure of working with hundreds and hundreds of estate agents and business owners and what have you. And I get a lot of messages from peers saying, I've just seen a video from such and such. I've just seen Emily, like one of my good friends now from another podcast, Project Peak Performance, Dave, he messaged me and was like, that Emily that you've got in your business, her content is amazing. And that's, which is, it's nice, isn't it? It gives you that nice warm feeling inside, but at the same time, it just reaffirms the reach that you've got.
Yeah.
Now, people are then going to say, they're not going to say, use, because we've mentioned them before, use Countrywide or use Connells, or they're going to say, use Emily at the Avenue.
Yeah.
And there is a real power. If you look across social media now, there's a real power attached to personality and brand. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk has got a much greater audience than Tesla. A much bigger audience than Tesla. Like, monumentally bigger audience than Tesla. What does that say about personal brand?
It's everything.
Everything. It's in today's era, people are subscribing more and more to the personality that they're working with rather than the brand name.
I am just sort of leading on to that. There are a couple of people that I know who value, and they've been valuers in the area for many years, and they've been that dedicated valuer to that branch within that company. And sadly, I don't think anyone would recommend them by name. No matter whether they've been a valuer in the area for 20, 25 years, they've built up, a reputation for the company in question. But when you say, I'm going to get so and so out to value the property, it would be the company name, as opposed to that valuer who would be, the dedicated valuer for decades. And I've been doing this for 6 months, and I know that no one would ever say, get the Avenue. They'd say, get Jack, get James, get Emily. And I like that, because I am a person after all.
Yeah. Personal brand comes first. I think what we intended to do, and it sounds, I hope you agree, because otherwise we've got it really wrong. What we always wanted to do with the foundation of the Avenue was help individuals build their own platform. So as long as there's a synergy between the Avenue, i.e. me and Jack and you, and we've got a values alignment, then there's a platform to build from. If we haven't got a values alignment, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so that was the start point, that we as a free had a values alignment. And so then for us, it's about how do we help you build the platform to create the brand that you want to create, but have the support of the Avenue behind you, so that there's then a network that supports you. Would you say that that's what you're a part of?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's,
Great.
I don't have to say anything else, to be honest. Yeah.
I think with a personal brand element, it's great that we are surrounded as a business by people like yourself, Emily, who have very, very high standards. When it comes to marketing, when it comes to service, the standards are very, very high. But then, and you can feel reassured that everyone in the business upholds the same level of standards. However, you get to put your own spin on things. You get to bring your own personality out. You get to connect with the clients that you want to be connected with, because you're putting out stuff that will attract those correct clients by using your personal brand, being yourself, being authentic. And then, like you said, that attracts the right type of clients. You then become an attraction agent for the people you want to work with, the properties you want to list. And that's exactly what you're doing in your local area, which is amazing.
We're going for high quality, and I think I understand. I suppose it's like an assignment. I understand the assignment. We're going for quality. We're going for, visually really attractive, but also so invested in the clients. And that is everything that I want to put out. That's everything that I've been trying to sort of do as an agent, but haven't been able to do, having worked for companies, because sadly, you know, you don't, it's not an industry that you can make loads and loads and loads of money in if you're working in a high street, but it's an industry you can make whatever you want in as a self-employed model, and you can break free from the, I suppose, feeling like your wings are clipped together.
Yeah, that sense of freedom as well, both financial freedom, but also I get the impression you like to build your own structure and build your own diary and work things around how you like to work, as opposed to being told what to do, which I suppose you felt in previous
Absolutely.
roles.
And also but sort of branching out from what we've just spoken about marketing, like I'm an advocate for good marketing. I think it has to be quality marketing. So it's something that you wouldn't ever have to tell me twice. There's not ever a time that you'd say, you know, are you going to get professional photos or a professional video done for that property? Obviously I am, because I believe it works. It really works. It's proof in the pudding. The numbers are there. I know, you know, I'm so passionate about that part, because we all align. You can tell where we are when you're on Rightmove, because it's fab.
People can pick your properties out, and I can absolutely verify that there will almost certainly never be a time where we'll question the quality of marketing that you put out. In fact, I recently was as bold as to say that the content that you put out on social media is probably the most aligned. If I could picture paint what an age, and by the way, we haven't steered that. That's been totally you that have created. You've had complete creative license on your content. But it's probably the most aligned to the direction of travel that I would love to see us go of anyone. Like, the content that you put out is so on point, the quality, the class. It just then makes complete sense that the type of clients that you attract are quality. They have beautiful homes. They want to listen to your advice. They take on board your input. The complete opposite of what a lot of mainstream agents have to deal with. So that is testament to what you're building. Bit of a direct question for you. What does it take to be an elite level self-employed agent?
I think consistency, drive, to be consistently driven, I suppose, to be an elite, and what we've just spoken about, to be aligned with the brand that you're working with, or to
be in the right environment. We touched on it earlier.
Absolutely. A lot of what we've touched on, there's a lot of touch points. I think you might have seen where my brain cogs were going there, because I'm kind of dialing back to what we've spoken about for the whole time that we've been on the call, on the podcast. The environment's got to be right, and you've got to be able to spread your wings and do the things that you don't necessarily want to do. It's that like being consistently boring. It's like just doing. There's stuff that I don't necessarily want to do all the time, because I'm a bit of a free spirit, but I just do them because I know that they will help me in months to come. I could knock a door. I don't mind door knocking, to be honest with you. There's agents who are absolutely, they think it's, you know, the work of the devil, but I don't mind door knocking. Would I say that I get up and I'm jumping out of my bed saying, yeah, I want a door knock today? But there could be a door knock that I do. Recently, knocked a door a couple of months ago, had a really great conversation with them on the phone, and thought to myself, well, that actually wasn't so bad. They came on the market. They sold within a week over asking price. They'd been on with the agent for over 4 months. And it just was like, that was the door knock I wasn't actually going to do. So just do things that you don't necessarily want to do. Step out of your comfort zone and just be completely driven, wholeheartedly driven. in what do you want to do? What do you want to make of your business?
There's so much within your personality and within this recording. There was a lot I already knew about you, but there's a lot that just shines through even more so than it had done before for me. And one of the major things for me is that you are someone who just simply controls their environment. And come away from what we said earlier about being in the right environment. You're choosing your environment. You're choosing your circle of influence. You're choosing to control the things that you can and to essentially block out the things that you cannot influence. And for me, I think that there's a major mindset piece there that sometimes people really struggle with.
Yeah.
And there's the tendency to have a little bit of a blaming mentality. And you simply just don't have that. It just doesn't exist. And I think to assess and kind of feedback on what you've just said, that's the thing that rings true for me.
Yeah, I think you've got to hold yourself accountable and really that's, I suppose, like I said to you previously, I think I really changed after coming back from Dubai. I see it in me. Other people see it as well. I really worked on myself. And I don't like to say that I possessed a victim mentality before. I don't think I did, but I'd be very quick to give an excuse. That's just not part of me anymore. It's long gone. Not even nearly a part of me. I hold myself accountable to everything I do. And I think that's so important when you run a business. You are completely accountable for what goes on, your successes, your failures, and how you come back from those failures to convert that into a success. It's self-awareness. I think you really hit the nail on the head there.
I feel like there's another pod episode that we could record where we could go deeper into your time in Dubai, because clearly that was quite a life-changing experience and has really developed your personality. And I feel like there's another episode that we should record to go deeper on that, because I think a lot of people would really benefit from what did you go through, really distilling what the process was and what you went through that had such a resounding positive impact on you.
Yeah, we're definitely, that's one to get into.
There's a lot that you share there as well. I suppose the one question I wanted to ask off the back of everything you've just spoken about, and it's probably going to really help those that are either looking to go self-employed or are currently self-employed but are questioning whether they've made the right decision. You mentioned that it's the consistency and doing things sometimes that you have to do but don't necessarily enjoy or want to be doing. So what is it that helps you get that stuff done when, and we all get it, there's certain things in any job that are more challenging, more difficult, more uncomfortable. What is it that helps you overcome that?
I think James and I are very similar in this sense. Like, I'm not a very routine kind of person. I do have some routine, but I don't necessarily stick to it. Free
spirit, like you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I am a bit, I'll just kind of I'll get the job done, but I won't necessarily stick to that routine that I may have set out in the day. I will make sure that there are certain things in my diary. And again, they come to me at random points of the day where I think, do you know what? I could probably do with doing some of this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to allocate some time this week. I'm going to make sure that, I surround it on a day where I've got quite a bit to do, so I can make sure that I fit it in. I'm one of these people who I like to be really busy, and I like to be bang 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 throughout the day. So if it's, I don't know, door knocking, or if it's prospecting, lead gen, an area of lead gen that I don't particularly, it's a bit more mundane, I make sure that I embed it in a day where I've got lots to do. So I make sure I just make time to do it. I just make time to do it, whether I like it or not. And it's not easy to do. It's like anything. It's like getting up in the morning, going to the gym. You have to do it because you know that you'll feel better after you've done it. You know that you'll reap the rewards after doing it. Might not be instant, but it could be in a few weeks, could be in a month, it could be in a year. But that it can be really rewarding what we do can be really rewarding, not just financially, but the feeling I get is it's euphoric. I love helping people. I don't think, I mean, I'm very passionate and I'm very enthusiastic. I know that, but I never got this satisfaction when I did it in any other company. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
It's got to be about your why, hasn't it? It's got to be about you and what's important to you, and then being able to connect it to the right environment.
Yeah, I've got to pay my bills. I've got a mortgage. I've got things to pay for. But ultimately, like, I want to have a good life as well. I want to enjoy my life. I've had a taste for it in Dubai, I can tell you that. I need to be able to make sure that it's a good life, and I will work hard and enjoy myself whilst doing that.
Work hard, play hard.
Absolutely.
Good motto to live by.
Amen. Yeah.
Absolutely. Emily, I'm pretty confident people will be listening in. And I've had a momentary blip at my end, so I don't know whether I'm actually still on camera now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, can't quite see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah,
we've got sound. Honestly, the technology that we're using is incredible, because I could hear every word, but my screen had been frozen for the last 3 or 4 minutes, but I could hear every word that was going on. I'm thinking, I hope this still plays out right. So we might have to do a slight edit post interview. It's been great. There's been things that I've taken away from the conversation that have been a bit of a learn about your character, but equally things where I've gone, do you know what? I need to be a bit more Emily. And that's like a bit of a motto from the pod. Be more Emily. But joking aside, it's an absolute pleasure working alongside you. It's been amazing having you join us on the pod. I'm absolutely certain people will listen to this and be like, right, we need a part 2 to go deeper into the mindset piece, that how she developed it. I think you're absolutely right. You and I are very similar. Some people call it free-spirited. Others call it stubborn. Some would refer to it as unemployable. However you want to frame it, that's the camp that you and I fall into.
It's a nice blend of three.
Absolutely. So how can people connect with you? I think Instagram has been one that's popped up. So how can they connect with you?
Instagram is a good place to pop up. I'm very active on Instagram. Not so much on Facebook, but I am on Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
So just search The Avenue, Emily Cuthbert, or
it's Emily the Avenue.
At Emily the Avenue, isn't it? Yeah. And if you're looking for inspiration or things to create and quality in terms of social media, then you need to be following Emily if you're not already.
That's really fine. Thank you, guys. I'll pay you later.
Emily, thank you for joining us. And I'm pretty certain there will be a part 2 to this. So until next time, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, guys.